everybody and welcome back to a Royal Reader. My name is Cece and today is going to be my January TBR with my new prompts for Roll20 TBR. So in case you are new to my channel, Roll20 TBR is a TBR game that I created using a D20 dice, which is a dice that has 20 sides. Each number has a prompt dedicated towards it, and if I roll on one, then I need to pick a book that fits that prompt. I decided to start the new year with some new prompts, so I'm going to go through this quickly before we head on to the rolls that I have done for January. So number one hasn't changed since last year's, and that is simply going to be add a book to the TBR. This is inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, where if you roll a 1, it's just bad luck. It's just real bad. So add a book to the TBR for the month is never going to go well. Number two, I have middle grade. This is to read a middle grade book. I'm super excited for this. I need to read more middle grade. I don't have enough middle grade, but I'm going to change that for this year. Number three is going to be continuous series. So this can be a series that I have been long wanting to reread, or it can be a book series that I haven't started or I need to continue, or something like that. Number four, we have Kindle Read. So this is a new one. This is because I have got the Amazon Prime, I think it is, and so you do actually get quite a few books on Amazon Prime. So if I'm going to be using that to its full advantage, I need to read the books that are on there. So number five, we have YA fantasy. I have quite a lot of YA fantasy. Specifically, I have quite a lot of backlog YA fantasy. So I want to make my way through that so I can clear off some of the bookshelves. Not saying that I want to just read it and then get rid of it, but I have a feeling that because these ones are a little bit older, they're not going to stand up to the passage of time. Number six, we have sci-fi, and as you can probably tell, I have not specifically put YA or adult in front of it because it was a real struggle to try and find adult sci-fi on my shelf. I do not have a lot. I don't even read a lot of sci-fi. So I've just decided to put it as sci-fi. Number seven, we have fantasy romance. Now you're probably like, you've just added YA fantasy. Why are you adding fantasy romance? Because fantasy is my biggest genre, and it is what I have on basically all of my shelves. So I'm going to try and make sure that I read the shit that's on my shelves. Number eight, we have thriller. I don't own that many thrillers. I have about 5 of them currently, and I want to be able to read more across my genres. So thrillers. Number nine is newest release. So this is a book that I have that has been released the soonest. This also kind of links with like latest Horde book, but this one's a little bit more specific. Number 10, we have adult fantasy. I have a lot of adult fantasy on this shelf, on these shelves anyway, so your girl needs to make her way through those, and the only way she can do that is if there's a prompt for it. Number 11, we have POC author. So this is a person of color. I want to make sure that I am reading diversely. Even if I am reading only fantasy, there are a lot of Black and Asian authors out there that have amazing books, so I want to read them. Number 12, we have another carryover, which is Call a Friend. This is, as it sounds, a friend I'm going to call and they can pick whatever off my shelves for me to read. Number 13, we have oldest publication date. This is not including classics. This is just going to be for everything else that I have on my shelves, because the next prompt, number 14, is classics. I do have quite a few classics here. I do want to collect more of them. Most of these are actually all Shakespeare plays. So number 15, we have a new one, which is lowest rated physical TBR book. So this means that it is the lowest rated book that I physically own. So I have over, I think, 150 or 170 physical books that I have not read. So your girl needs to make her way through those. Another new one we have is 16 over 500 pages. So this means that I have to read a thick boy, because a lot of my adult fantasies are thick, and a lot of them are usually on like my 2021 TBRs, and I have not read them yet because they are big. Number 17 is reread. There is a lot of books on here that I need to do a reread for, either to continue the series or just because I want to. So this is the opportunity for me to do that. Number 18 is Last Hauled Book. Pretty self-explanatory. Number 19 is a new one, and I'm hoping that it's going to go well. I really don't know how it's going to go, but I'm going to try it, and that's going to be Pet Pick. This is where either Prince or Louie, my two cats that I have, are going to pick a book that I place in front of them. So we'll see how that goes. And lastly, we have number 20. This is Mood Read. This has not changed. I think last year I called it something different, but Mood Read is going to be for me to pick whatever book I want. For the beginning of the year, I decided to give myself a little bit of a break, specifically because I started off the year not great. I ended up having to isolate for about a week because my roommate unfortunately got COVID. He's fine, he's feeling much better now, but I did have to isolate, so the start of the year did not go the way that I hoped it would. So I'm giving myself a little bit of a break for the beginning of the year, and I only did 5 rolls. Right, first roll of 2022, here we go. 10. So the first roll that I got was a 10. That is adult fantasy, and so for this one I wanted to pick off one of the Amazon Prime books that I have. That's going to be The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. This is said to be great for fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I can tell you, now that I'm about 120 pages into this, definitely hits the mark there. The magic system is very similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender. We have elemental magic involved, and we also have like samurais. It's really cool. I feel like I'm reading an anime, if that makes sense, because the dialogue that we have in here is definitely Japanese inspired, because they're calling to the sensei, and I've forgotten, they use the suffix honorifics of Chan and Kun. So really enjoying it so far. So in this we follow our main character, who is a 14-year-old boy who is meant to become like a really great warrior because his family is like descended from lines of warriors and things like that. Unfortunately, a new boy comes to school and sort of breaks his world in a way, and tells him a lot of shit about his government that he didn't realize, and sort of sends him into a whirlwind where he doesn't know what's true and what's not. Then our second main character is actually his mother, who was originally a warrior from a different country, and she is sort of dealing with the fact that she really wants to get back to that, and with the impending war that is possibly happening, she may get that chance. So far I'm really enjoying it. It's very easy to read, but this book is huge. Second roll, we have a 14. So the second roll I got a 14, which is a classic. Yay me. So this is actually a carryover from the end of last year. I have not really picked it up all that much, but I decided to go with Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. My sister picked this out for me last year, and I am reading it. I am also tabbing it as well. This, from what I've read, is beautiful. The writing in this is stunning and so atmospheric. I'm really enjoying it. From what I know of this book, we have our main character who is never named. Ever. So she is just unnamed main character who gets involved with a Mr. Maxim de Winter, and she ends up marrying him and goes back to his estate and discovers that he was previously married and his wife Rebecca tragically passed away. Now everybody loved Rebecca. She was just the shit. And so when our main character comes to this house, all of the servants are just like, oh, Rebecca didn't do that, or Rebecca didn't do this, or that's not what Rebecca would have done. So she is stuck dealing with this constant oppression by the servants and everybody else around her who were just obsessed with Rebecca, and there's also the possibility that she's been haunted by Rebecca. So I'm really excited to continue this. From what I've read so far, I've really enjoyed it. So yeah. Third roll, we have a 3. Next roll was a 3, which was continue series. Yay for me! So I'm going to continue the Throne of Glass series. How long is it going to take me to finish this goddamn series? Who bloody knows, but I'm continuing on. I'm about 200 pages through this, almost 200 pages. I'm gonna make it a goal to finish this month. God damn, it's gonna happen, okay? It's gonna happen. Fourth roll, we have 4. That's funny. Next, I rolled a 4, which was Kindle Read. Now, originally I have the Sword of Kaigan on this, so that I didn't have to add another book on there. But that's only because I forgot that Fortuna Sworn Book 4, Beautiful Nightmares, was released on January the 4th, and I want to read it. So I may possibly have either Fortuna Sworn, the first book in the series, or Beautiful Nightmares on this as this Kindle read. I'm not entirely too sure yet because I don't know if I'm going to have to do a reread because it's been like well over 6 or 8 months since I last read the Fortuna Sworn series. So the Fortuna Sworn series is a fantasy romance. It's also grimdark, possibly. Lots of trigger warnings in it, where we follow our main character Fortuna Sworn, who is a nightmare, which is a mythical creature that can inflict your worst nightmares upon you. At the beginning of this book, she is struggling to find her missing brother, who has been missing for I think about 2 years or something along those lines, and she believes that he's still alive somewhere. And one day a mysterious man walks up to Fortuna and says, "I know where your brother is, and I'll take you to him if you marry me," because it turns out he's the king of the Unseelie Court. Unseelie Court, not Silly Court. It's a different character. But nonetheless, she agrees, and thus chaos ensues. It's a very, I would say people who have read ACOTAR will definitely notice some similarities to it. I did, but I didn't mind because I enjoyed the darker route that it took. But nonetheless, super excited to continue this series. I just know it's going to tear my heart out because it did the first time. And final roll, roll number 5. We have 18. And lastly, I rolled an 18, which was Last Horde book, and that's going to be A Touch of Ruin by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the second book in the Hades and Persephone trilogy. I have already read the first book, which is called A Touch of Darkness. So I'm going to continue on with the rest of the book. I got the trilogy as a birthday Christmas present. Christmas present from my boyfriend. So, yeah. Alrighty, so this is my stack of books that I have for the month, including a very hefty 600-page book on top of this, which was The Sword of Kaigan. Don't know how well it's going to go, but I'm going to try my best. And yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know if you guys have read any of these and if you enjoyed them or not. If you'd like to see more of me, then do be sure to check out the links in the description box. I have Twitter and Instagram. Follow me over on there. I have a hair up my nose because my cat's. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys soon in another one later on.